What is going on, everyone? This is Adam and Craig with Grandstand Golf. In this show, we are talking about our favorite sleepers for the US Open for DFS. Craig, when we talk about sleepers, I think we're talking about guys. So for DraftKings, we're talking about guys under 7,500. But what good sleeper? I mean, they need to make the cut, but are we talking top 20? What makes a good sleeper here?
I mean, I think it really depends on how you're structuring your lineup. I think sometimes you're looking for a bit more of a volatile play.
Yeah.
I'm gonna potentially do a bit of I'm gonna make a few builds, and some of them will be more stars and scrubs. And
Yeah,
so really, I'm looking for cuts. I'm looking for,
for sure.
some of them I want to be safe cuts. Other ones I don't mind if it's a more volatile high upside play.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I kind of want to start with. The sleepers that we chose for today, we're going to go through six, three for each of us. I don't think any of us have a realistic expectation that they're going to win the Open.
No,
Is that fair?
no. I mean, there's always the possibility. Like what Lucas Glover won it in 2009, and I don't think anyone
Right.
would have expected that going in. But really, if any of these guys that I'm choosing, if they get a top 10, then I'm going to be pretty happy.
Yeah.
If they get a top 30, then I think that I'm getting good value, assuming the rest of my lineup works well. So
Yeah.
that's really, I think, what I would be looking for in terms of upside is top 25, top 30 type finishes. And then you hit those on your lower ones and you get high finishes and you can build a winner.
So I completely agree. I'm doing a couple of stars and scrubs. I think made cut is good. That's kind of the bar. A top 20 is really good. A top 10 is great. This is a great sleeper.
Yeah, now the other thing is, I mean, 6 out of 6 this week, it's top 60 in ties. So it's a little bit tighter
Hmm.
even than normal weeks on the tour. So 6 out of 6 is going to be even more of a premium compared to other weeks.
Yeah. So
So
let's dive into it.
yeah, let's jump into it. You want to start us off with your sleepers here?
Yeah, so we talked about the first one, Thomas Pieters on DraftKings. He's 6,800 on FanDuel. He's 8,500. He was in our first look show. He's just been someone I've been a fan of for a while, and I was excited to see that he will be playing in the U.S. Open. There's a couple things going for him. He hasn't played a lot since the break, and I'll get to that in a second. But in the two events that he has played, he's
I
been
mean,
a
he's got a lot of things going for him. He's a professional golfer.
he's got a lot of things going for him. Yeah. He's been T3 and T15 in his last two starts. And he also has a history of doing well in majors in the US. So a lot of these, I mean, I have 3 Euros for my sleepers, but a lot of them just have open experience. Thomas Pieters has done a top five, a T4 in the 2017 Masters, and a T6 in the 2018 PGA. Plus, he went to school in Illinois. So, like, it's not like he's coming over for one of his first major tournaments. He's played here a ton. So, it's nothing new for him. Plus, the thing I really like, he introduced a new baby to his family, his first baby girl, in the end of July. So he's got that new baby mojo going for him. Of the three that I have here, I actually think Pieters is probably the only one that has a chance to win. But I love him as kind of DFS play under 7,000. And I don't care if he's chalky. I think he's that talented.
Yeah, I don't think he will be super chalky just because I think these guys, there's so much, so many people are looking deep into the stats. And with these guys
Yeah,
coming over from Europe, there's just not you don't get the strokes gain stats. So you look at our model and i- it's harder to figure out whether these guys are
right.
good value. You really have to go a bit deeper to figure out if you like them compared to the people around them.
Yeah. So kind of a play off that, my next sleeper is Connor Syme, someone that probably a lot of people haven't heard of, especially in North America. But in his recent form, this is all for the European Tour. His recent form is T8, T8, T3, and T19. So he's gone four consecutive tournaments with a top 20. I mean, he hasn't played a major in North America yet. He's played a couple opens, but having that form, I think that's when you're looking, especially at the price point of 6,400 on DraftKings, 7,400 on FanDuel, which is extremely cheap. This is a guy I'm looking to make a cut.
Now, just
I
for
don't know.
people who don't know who he um, is he a Scot or where is
Yeah, he's a Scot.
he's
He's
a
a young
Scot?
Scot. I want to say 23, 24-ish, kind of
So
there. I have
younger,
to look it up.
early to
Yeah,
mid 20s.
yeah. I mean, he's really breaking through right now. He's fifth in driving accuracy, which I think everyone loves for Winged Foot. Seventh in greens and regulation, which might be harder because these greens are going to be fast, they're going to bounce off. But 23rd in strokes gained putt, all on the Euro Tour. So these aren't PGA stats, but all stats that kind of check the boxes for the type of player and the form he is coming in. And I think he'll have a little bit of ownership. I've been kind of looking for his name around. There's been some kind of chatter about it, but I don't think it'll be a ton. I think people are going elsewhere around that price range.
Well, and he's not a name. Both Pieters and Stenson, even if for the casual fan they recognize
Yeah.
those names, so there would be name recognition there. But I mean, I didn't recognize Connor Syme's name, so I had to look into it myself.
So he's a guy I really like when you're playing DJ, you're playing Rom, you're playing Xander, you're playing those really high-end popular guys. Syme's a guy that I think you plug in and you'll probably have a different lineup
To
just with
differentiate.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my third one, Henrik Stenson. So 7,200 on DraftKings, FanDuel. He's 8,700. He's been very quiet. I mean, he's pretty much dropped off the golf world for the last little bit. He's only played in 2 events since the COVID break. He was actually planning on playing more in March, but then everything shut down. So he wasn't really able to get his FedEx points and kind of compete on the PGA Tour. So
So
he just
those
kind of,
2 events, he played in North America, right?
yeah. So one was the PGA Championship. He missed the cut by one. And the other one was the WGC where he is T35.
Okay, so
So
middle
nothing,
middle of the pack.
yeah, nothing great, nothing horrible. I mean, missing the cut. There's a lot of, I mean, big names that missed the cut at the PGA Championship by doing so by one. I mean,
Yeah, and I mean that's right about for a guy's first start back after the break, being in the middle of the field at a major championship. I
yeah,
mean, I don't know. I think we look at miscuts as if all miscuts are the same, but I don't think that's a
absolutely.
horrible result to for someone that you want to see them make the cut
Yeah.
for your lineup.
So major experience, something I really like. Three top tens in his past six U.S. Open. So again, not a guy that I think he can do a little bit better than just making a cut. A top 20 I'd be happy with, but a top 10 would be great at 7,200 on DraftKings. Looking back at his 2019 stats, I know he's. I mean, if you know Henrik Stenson, you know he's one of the greatest iron players of all time. Really, he was first in strokes gained approach in 2019. He's also fifth in driving accuracy. So he doesn't have those 2020 stats. He just didn't play enough tournaments, but 2019 lines up well here. I think he's good for if he can get a top 20. I think he'll make some lineups look really nice.
Yeah, I like it. I also with Stenson, he's a lot very much along the lines of the guys that I was looking at,
Mm-hmm.
where I'm really, I'm using our model as a baseline. What is, are they priced appropriately for
Right.
what kind of stats they put up? And so I guess just jumping into mine here, all of my guys I feel like are a bit more. I mean, maybe Lanto is still fairly young, but like older guys who maybe have been around a bit, but also have some
Mm-hmm.
um, demonstrated U.S. Open, aside from Lanto again, but some demonstrated U.S. Open
Yeah.
results. And I think one of the things that can make it a bit tough when we use just stats is that weeks like this play so differently than the weeks where you have someone going 30 under, or
Mm-hmm.
up in Minnesota at the 3M Open,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
people are, it's in the teens to 20 under type range.
Yeah. Yeah.
You get people building these statistical profiles using all of that, and it's just such a different game when you get to these really hard courses
Yeah.
like this. So that's where I looked at US Open history, and then one of the things I tried to do a bit was to look at, since the COVID break, I think that Memorial at Muirfield, the PGA Championship,
Right.
and the BMW, all of those
Yeah.
played. They were harder
A little
courses,
tougher. Yeah.
yeah, that played a bit tougher. So with Lanto, where he was the one guy that I didn't have as much of a specific U.S.
Right.
Open background for. That's where I really looked at what he had done there. But I guess starting out with Matt
Mm-hmm.
Kuchar, I mean everyone knows Cooch.
Ooch.
He's got a now he pulled out last week. I think forget what he said, but I think it was sort of a preparing for the U.S. Open type of pullout.
Right.
I think he
Right.
might have said back or something, but I did a little bit of digging around. I didn't find any reason to suspect that health was a concern.
Hmm.
So he's 9 of his last 10 U.S. Open. He's made the cut.
Yeah.
8 of those he's top 30. So that's
Yeah.
exactly sort of what I'm looking for from a $7,200 player.
Yeah.
And then also 24 of his last 28 majors, he's made cuts. So
Oh,
he's
wow.
one of these guys that in tough fields, I think the harder the event gets,
Yeah.
his performance, it scales up accordingly.
Right.
Um, Now, I'm just going to flip over to the model here for a sec because I just sort of want to point out what I'm looking at. Now,
Hmm.
his putting this year, when we did our first look video and I went
Hmm.
through the history, I mean, the 2006, the correlation was that putting is the most important strokes gain, or
Right.
it's
Right.
one of the most important strokes gain stats at Winged Foot, and far more important than it is at other courses. Now, it's not a
Hmm.
huge sample size, but I think it's going to matter.
Yeah.
So his putting's off the charts this year. I believe he's about number 4 in the field for 2020 in terms of putting.
Okay.
And
Right.
all Andrew Putnam, I'm not really looking to roster him because of the rest of his skill set. But of these guys, I'm also going to be looking at Matt Fitzpatrick. But
Yeah.
these are guys that I think they're going to squeeze everything they can out of their game this week, and so I think it's a reason to look at Cooch. And now it is a bit off the charts, his putting this year, but
Right.
it's it's not like he's been a bad putter and all of a sudden he's got good. It's just been better
Right.
than
Right.
it
Right.
usually
Yeah. Yeah.
is. Um, and then I think the other thing that I like about Kuchar is that his numbers are lower than they have been in the past, but
Hmm.
his short game and his approach, like these are numbers that are always in the positive, and so
They're always green. Yeah.
they're always green.
Absolutely.
And so yeah, they're not potentially as green as they have been, but
Hmm.
I think that his game is much more that it's not trying to overpower golf courses
Yeah.
and then some weeks it works, some weeks it doesn't. His game is much more slow and steady grind, and I think
Yeah.
that's the type of player that is going to make a cut and flirt in the top 30 to 20 type range.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think he's good value for where he is at 7,200 and 9,000.
Yeah, I like Cooch a lot. I think he's very close to Stenson, where they're in their 40s, they're experienced, and they just kind of got priced down because of recency bias. That's the only reason.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, I think it's always a little bit more enticing to pick guys that are on their way up. And
Right. Yeah.
I
Yeah. Yeah.
I easily could have, for all 3 of my sleepers, chosen guys from the Corn Ferry that I think might
Zalatoris,
Zalatoris, and
O'Reilly, Woo.
I think I'm gonna have Zalatoris, and so Will Zalatoris and Brandon Wu, who are both
Yeah.
from the Corn Ferry. I think I'll have both of them in my pool, but I think these are the safer sleepers.
Yeah.
And then those are the other ones are the more volatile ones that I'll play.
Right.
Um, so moving on, Lanto Griffin, he's had a great year. I think he's much more. There's much more awareness around him than there was
Hmm.
a year ago, and with good reason because his numbers before this year probably didn't deserve a
Right.
ton of
Right.
attention. Um, he only has one U.S. Open. He did miss the cut. It was a missed cut by one. So like we were saying,
Yeah.
it's not all missed cuts are the same. And he was just around average. I think he was slightly above average for the field in terms of scoring that week. So
But just
uh,
having that experience is huge. You've been to like a championship set up by the USGA. You've been to like these type of courses that they like to create. I think that's huge, even if it is a miscut, especially if it's only by one. That's experience that is invaluable, I think.
yeah, and I mean, I think he's also proven in these past handful of weeks he's able to play with the big guys.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
didn't seem when he was at the Tour Championship or the PGA or any of these the FedEx Cup playoffs. He didn't seem like the moments. I think he played with Tiger there for a while. He didn't.
Right.
there were moments where I think maybe when he was playing with Tiger that he looked like it might be a bit big, but for the most part, he looked like he could handle it and he was comfortable. He's got 5 top 25 since the restart.
Hmm.
He's a plus in all strokes gained categories. And like I said, his finishes at the difficult tournaments have been good. He
Yeah.
top 10, tied for 10th at the BMW, 19th at the PGA Championship, and 44th at Memorial. I mean, that's
I
not a
think that
great result, but
no, that's my favorite
um,
stat though. I think that shows he makes those cuts, especially the PGA, Memorial, and yeah, he can kind of improve from there. Like we said, what we're looking for from guys 6,500. I mean, that'd be a great result in the U.S. Open.
yeah, exactly. So if you're looking someone in that range, now the other guy that I'm going to be looking at in that range, and I think Lanto may attract some ownership, and I think
Mhm.
from what we've been talking about, I think Brian Harman might attract even a bit more.
Right. Yeah.
Um, he he's at 6,400 on DraftKings, 7,600 on FanDuel, which that's just a steal.
That's
Um,
crazy. Yeah.
he was tied for two at the U.S. Open in 2017,
Hmm.
and then T36 in 2018, and then he didn't play last year.
Right.
So he's got plus U.S. Open results.
Hmm.
Um, he 5 top 30 since the restart, so he's been playing well.
Yeah.
He,
He's
looking
just
at the
hanging around there.
yeah, looking at the short game, he's 18th in the field in short game. Now that doesn't seem like it's great, but when you look at a lot of the people above him, either his ball striking is better than them or they're
Yeah.
the best players in the field. Like this is
Yeah.
we're talking about the guy who's in terms of what you're paying for him, you're paying somewhere in the hundred and somethings.
Yeah. Yeah.
So um, he's been plus every year in those categories since 2012,
That's
and he's
crazy.
been
Yeah.
positive since the restart. So um, I think he's one of these guys that is not going to be. He's going to be able to scramble. He's going to be able to do the things you do, avoid
Hmm.
bogeys, do what you need to do to get
Yeah.
out of bad spots without it hurting you too much.
Yeah.
And he's not one of these people that relies on going super low. So I think
Yep.
that he could be have a good shot this week.
I like it.
So just
Okay. Yeah.
summarizing,
Quickly recapping, mine are Thomas Pieters at 6,800. These are DraftKings prices. Connor Syme at 6,400 and Henrik Stenson 7,200. Obviously, not in order of price, but probably in order of what piques my interest. I like Pieters as his performance. I like Syme as kind of under the radar, and I think Stenson's just a really good low 7,000s.
and I've got Kuchar at 7,200, Lanto Griffin at 6,500, and Brian Harman at 6,400. Now these are also just to reemphasize these are my safer sleepers. These are guys I
Yeah.
think that have better than their price chances to make the cut and finish well. So there are other guys I think that you can look at if you want more volatile, high upside
Mhm.
sleepers. But yeah, these guys have a pretty good chance to make the cut.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for watching our video. The model that you did see during our video is on our website at www.grandstandgolf.com. Please like and subscribe to our channel. We have a couple more US Open videos hopefully coming down. And then be doing this for every tournament. Click the bell to catch our upcoming shows, and we'll see you again soon.
Yeah, just the other thing will be look out for the PGA Showdown videos throughout the week for the U.S.
Yeah.
Open as well.
Awesome. See
Thanks.
you guys.